My first impromptu shop tour coming up right here, so stick around. It's not going to be a real in-depth tour, but just a quick look around my shop so that you can get an idea of what I've got going on. I haven't taken the time to straighten or clean anything, so it's just bare, raw footage of what I've got here. So stick around. Alright, so I thought I'd just start right here as you enter the shop and kind of work my way around as I enter the shop and as I see it each day when I come in. So here, of course, is the entrance to my shop. I've got this this nice rack up here that Jeff over at Yellow Fox Design sent me. I love it. I hang my shop aprons as well as a cap and occasionally some other things hang up there. So as you can see behind me, I've got my clamp wall. Some of these are racks that I had in my old shop, which are a little bit more sturdy for these Rockler F-style clamps that I really like. And then, of course, some wooden clamps that are great for different uses. Anyhow, I've kept them because they do come in handy for certain aspects. And then this is the part that really is a mess. This clamp wall here, as you can see, is not very sturdy. It's sagging in a couple of places. I want to take this down and I want to rebuild it, but I have the clamp project that I hope to get to soon, and that is building some clamps by Roy at the Bellevue Wood Shop. I bought those plans and I've already started. I've got my work in progress cabinet with pieces of that. Going to be getting started on that. So as we enter the shop, just to the left we have the Wood Whisperer tool cabinet here. I think I showed a quick clip of this recently in my on my Instagram account. Of course, this is the sub panel that I built that feeds out of my main panel out of my house. It's a 100 amp main lug panel with plenty of circuits for everything I need out here. Up above is the work in progress cabinet. I've got a video on my channel where I built this out of some scraps, very similar to the toy storage units that I built in the house. I've got another little drawer unit that was actually left here, and I've kept it. It's got pull out drawer slides, and it's got some random stuff in it. But as we move up there above that window is my mini split unit. I purchased and installed this myself, and I love it. It's got a heater for the winter, which occasionally I have to use it, but for the most part it's just for the air conditioning and keeping this room climate controlled, and it is great. I'm shooting this on my phone, so if the lighting is not great, I apologize for that. And then this is my lumber rack on this wall. It's the J. Bates very simple style rack with the 3/4 inch EMT that is drilled at a slight angle into some 2x4s that are lag bolted to the studs on the wall. As you can see, I have a huge amount of lumber on there, a lot of 8/4 stock, a lot of 4/4 mahogany and cherry, and it is a very, very sturdy rack. I tell you, honestly, for the cost and the price and the amount of time it takes, I think hands down this is the best way to go with this rack. Just beside the rack is my rolling lumber storage. I really need to go through it and thin it out and maybe make it a little smaller. It's very difficult to move. The casters are really cheap, and I just kind of push it over out of the way. Right behind that is the sheet goods rack that I built, and I made a short video, I think, on Instagram when Daryl from Dreadnought Woodshop was here. This was a project that we built. Back there you can see right there the kind of hinge system that we built. It's a piece of 3/4 EMT that acts as the hinge with some wooden hinge components, and it swivels out and swings out, and you can access it and put full sheet goods in there. Then just beside that is my cabinets. I've got some upper cabinets which have kind of random things stored in them right now, some books and sandpaper goods, as well as stuff for future projects. On that side, these have the Nick Ferry style pools. Down below is some lower cabinets as well as some drawers. And of course, this is the shop stool that I'm working on right now. These drawers are a work in progress. I've got, you know, some of them have little slide out drawers for additional storage, but they're not all completely filled right now. Back there on that back wall, you can see that Kaizen wall frame. I've got a video on this. This is a product by FastCap with the frame system. It's still there. As you can see, it's still populated. Every time I need one of these hand tools, I have been able to find them. So that's a good thing. I think that it's at least serving that purpose. Occasionally, a few of those things don't find their way back. I think right before I shot, I had 3 components that I was using yesterday that I put back in there. And again, over here, some additional storage. I've not completely decided, you know, how I'm going to use these upper cabinets, and so they're not completely outfitted just yet. Sliding over, you of course should recognize this station when I do my shop updates. So on the back, you can see I've got some beadboard that I put on the wall when we first moved in. All of this shop was unfinished, and so I added all the insulation, the wiring, and the sheetrock, and then on this section behind these cabinets and everything, I put that beadboard to give a nice backdrop, because I thought, you know, I planned to do something on YouTube, and so this was kind of the precursor to that. So this was an old TV that we had some issues with in the house, moved it out here, and it's basically my shop billboard. And right below that is my chop saw station. This is a Makita chop saw. I've done a few tool talk type videos on my channel. I don't think I've done one on this saw yet, so I plan to do one on it, but I've been very pleased. I've had this saw for a number of years. The original saw that I had was a yellow and black one, and I'm very pleased with this saw. Below that, I built this cabinet. These came with me from my old shop, but this unit here in the middle did not. So I built this extension for the chop saw, so I'd have support, and then below it just a bank of drawers with just additional storage of a lot of random stuff. Some of this is dust collection and some stuff that I hope to eventually get to with the CNC if I can ever get that Shipoko unit working. Some moving blankets, just I think random stuff. Oh, here's where I'm storing some of my lathe tools that I plan to work or refinish, and some of the things that Daryl gave me when he brought the lathe to me, and some other random items. Much of this drawer and cabinet space, this is all pretty much electrical with the exception of these wheels. It's not completely laid out at this point. Just to the right of my chop saw is my Benchtop drill press. This is just a Harbor Freight model. I downsized from a full standing drill press to this, and I've been pleased with it. It's done everything. It's a 13-inch drill press from Harbor Freight, and really I don't have any complaints. It's a very good drill press for its use. I keep most of my little hand battery-powered drills and things right up there on that little shelf above my chop saw. Over here is an additional workstation that did come from my old shop as well. It's got a flip-top component. I actually built these cabinets and everything. I think they're from a Norm Abram program that had kind of a garage workshop. I used the plans from that to build this. Back there you can see the Shipoko. It's all assembled, and I've never been able to get it running. Probably should dedicate some time to spend to it to try to do so, but it's just kind of a sore spot for me. So then over just beyond that is my air compressor. I have a video on how I plumbed the shop with this hose system with drops to various locations throughout my shop. I forget the name of it right off, but I'll leave links to those videos that I reference in the description. And then over in this corner is my dust collection corner. I've got the Harbor Freight 2 horsepower unit, which I've been very pleased with. Right below it, I did create a 2-stage system, so I've got the Oneida Super Dust Deputy there that's attached to a smaller barrel that I'm able to very quickly disconnect, pull out, and empty. And then the Wind environmental filter that they were gracious enough to send me. It's been working great. And then the bag below, and as you can see, there's very little dust in that bag, and that's pretty much how it stays, unless I somehow manage to not realize that my dust bin is full. Now, I do have the Dust Sentry that Oneida provided, and that is an excellent unit. I did have some problems with this particular one. I don't know if it was maybe defective, but it quit working, and Oneida sent me a replacement, which I need to swap out. Right next to that is my sanding station. I've got a combination belt and disc sander on a mobile base. Now, it's very difficult to get to at this moment because I've got kind of a mess over in this corner, and still kind of disarray, but it is plumbed with dust collection, as you can see that drop there. And eventually I hope to clear this out so that I can really access that more readily. I do have one of the CT dust extractors with the upgraded Oneida Dust Deputy Elite, I think they call it. And I love this thing. I mean, I never have to worry about the filter bag in that unit getting clogged up or actually getting any dust, because everything goes in this box. It's amazing. It's great. Just a random shelf that I have used from some scrap case years ago and built, and I store an oscillating spindle sander down at the bottom, 1-inch strip sander there above it. Those are both Harbor Freight units. I love them. They're great. Some shop frags, tile saw, wet saw, and this is where I keep all of my Kreg pocket hole jig. I've got everything mounted on a base to have support for panels and such, and I just keep it up here out of the way. So just to the right of that is my kind of hand tool workbench. Right now it's pretty much a disaster because I've just got stuff thrown on there. This is a box of hand planes that Daryl gave me to restore, and a set of hand chisels that I was given at Christmas from my mom, as well as my charging station here hanging on the side of this. Down below this unit is, as you can see, there's a drawer which I keep kind of some small hardware, screws, mostly wood screws, some pocket hole screws, a microwave unit for when I need a quick snack out here in the shop, as well as some other parts bins that were my father's that I keep for all sorts of hardware. A little shop fridge that I keep water and Dr. Pepper and occasional candy bars in. Again, a little piece of beadboard here just to kind of dress this wall up, but I've got this kind of parts bin up here. I'm not sure it's going to stay here. Eventually, I think I really want this to be my hand tool station. I do have the Wood Whisperer cabinet up on the wall that I built, and it keeps a lot of the hand tools, but it's not completely outfitted, and I want to redo this, how these chisels are held in, and it's kind of in a state of disarray right now, but it's just a starting point. At some point I plan to work on this and kind of clean up some of the storage, but it's a start. This is the small parts bin cabinet that I made out of some more scrap wood. I've got a video on the build of this cabinet. I'll leave a link in the description or in the cards for that. It's very handy. I still have several additional little bins to fill up. And then over here next to it is the saw blade rack. This is a J. Bates design. I love it. I built it years ago. It's been very, very useful for me. Just some parts bins on the wall. And then moving aside here, I've got my Powermatic bandsaw. This is a 24-inch bandsaw that I picked up off of Craigslist a little over a year ago, and it is a beast. It's got 15